Where is he? He. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. The other players, we got the other players. Who are they? We're going to talk about LinkedIn. Could you turn it down, please? Please, 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 please. Down, 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 down. Well, if he can't turn it down, I can just get lowered. Will that work? All right, so who are the other players? Do they matter? We'll look again at the graph on who's where and how many are on there, and where did they come from, how did these come to be, and the impact that they're wielding on the world. So you'll see this chart twice, once here on LinkedIn, and you'll see it again when I call up the Twitter presentation. So we have LinkedIn. This is a little bit hard to see, so give me your email or something and then you can read it. But the number one CEO in the entire CEO world or whatever, they vote on these sort of things. They didn't vote for him on LinkedIn, okay? That wouldn't be fair. But the overall best CEO is Jeff Weiner, or maybe Weiner, of LinkedIn. He's considered the best there is. We also find here Mark Zuckerberg. We've met him before. CEO of Facebook. And then down here we have Larry Page, who is CEO of Google. We're going to meet him next talk when I get into Google+. So out of the five social medias that I'm talking about, 3 of them have, by Forbes vote, the best CEOs that can be found. They hang out with Costco and Ford Motors and Goldman Sachs and Starbucks. So this is what a LinkedIn page kind of looks like. Now they morph all the time. I can't help that, but fundamentally they're the same. You get to put your character up here. You have a home where you go to. You have your profile. Some 40% of professionals, 40% of professionals now do not send resumes to anybody. They send them to read their profile on LinkedIn, because the profile is nothing more than your resume in great detailed information. Now what that means, when you put your resume in detailed information, what that means is LinkedIn knows who you are. So that when they want to advertise, they know what to sell you. They have a technique called geo-targeting. They can target you by geography. Now they can target you by geography and by age and by schooling and by where you are and blah, blah. You see how that works. So the more detailed information you give them, the more they know what to sell you. Same thing happens on Facebook. But the profile has become almost a de facto choice for anybody who's a professional. Now there's a misconception that the only people on LinkedIn are people who are trying to find jobs. You get people who don't have jobs talking to people who don't have jobs. Not true, not true. You have a network. Here in this network, these are all the people I have connections with over time. I've met somebody somewhere doing something, and we connected. I'm going to show you what I can do with that in a minute. So we have jobs. If I am looking for a job, or if I am offering a job, my wife runs the HR department for a solar panel research. How do you find people when you want them, Sam? Puts them on LinkedIn. That's where she recruits from, because people go there. And then interests. These are the different groups that I might want to join. People can message me individually. So if I want to keep a conversation private, they'll send it to me privately by message. And not everybody can see that. And if somebody just said, hey, Bill, you're cool, and I'll show you how they do that in a minute, they do this, I get a notification here. And if I have somebody that I want to add to my group, I can do it here. Upgrade, that's if I want to give LinkedIn more money, I can do that also, because there are different degrees of what you can do. I can email anybody who's in my network. But if I wanted to email anybody on Facebook, on LinkedIn, I would have to upgrade and pay a higher fee. That's how they make some big bucks. So scrolling down, you can see this is when I get into the profile. If you clicked on this, it's not live now, of course. You clicked on there, then I would start moving. That's a YouTube video of me doing whatever I do. And then experience, what I own, where I've worked, people who recommend me. This is good stuff to have on a public profile. And here again, I only make public what it is I want people to see. And if I don't want people to know that I got fired from somewhere, I'm not going to put that up there. Or, I might, if it's a badge of honor, I got fired by him. I didn't like him either anyway. See, these are workshops I do. These are publications I've written, and so on and so on. And all of this appears to anybody who wants to find out who Bill Ballou. So I remember the button up here, there was a flag. that stood up here in the corner. Well, this is what they're doing. They're flagging what it is they think you know something about. So more than 99 people, when you get to 99, it stops counting, think I know something about blogging. 60 people recommend me for Facebook and then social media. And so those numbers climb. Now there's artificial ways to manipulate those. You just call your mom and dad up and say, keep adding me to that. Or you call your brothers and sisters, or you call your classmates. And so if you leave it to grow by itself, just by people who really do know you and have been around the block a few times, it's called organic. It grows by itself. And then you have a news feed. So I can choose the news that I want to read. I can tell LinkedIn, tell me today what is happening in the marketing world. And this happened to be a Duck Dynasty something. Does anybody ever watch Duck Dynasty? I've never seen it. So they don't always get it right. So the network, I'm in the network. If I write something, I can see how many people have written, how many people have seen what it is I just wrote. I write for a national search engine. It's called Search Engine Journal. It's real exciting. It's all about search engines, right? But that's my world. And we have several 100,000 people come there every day to read about search engines because people want to know how to reach you via the search. What can I do so that when you put something in a box, you'll find me? The better I can make that connection legitimately, the better service I can offer. And then, of course, there are illegitimate types who just kind of spam and throw junk up there and try to deceive you. But I can get an idea of how many people have seen my article if it were linked on LinkedIn. This is how many people I have in my network. And because of these 1,300 people that I've connected with over time, I can reach another 41,000 people in the most recent. So new people in your network, 41,000 people. This is how many people these people know. And then there's another number, I don't know where it's at. It'll reach up to like 14 million. 14. So I know 1,300 people who know about 14 million people. Does that make sense? Because 13 times however many people they have in their network. So it's a one connection, a second link over. So I'm going to Singapore next month at the invitation of the National Library of Singapore. I'll be talking about children's books. They're bicultural Chinese English children's books. And so they invited me to come. Everybody has a book, and they want more people to read it, right? They write a book, they want more people to read it. I have readers waiting for me to write a book. You see, it's the other way around. So they've got books. How do I get this book read? And so they've already invited me to speak. They're already paid the bill. I'm going to fly. I'm going to stay. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to eat, right? So what I want to know is, who else do I know in Singapore? Who else do I know in Singapore? So I went to my network, and I can filter. I can choose my network, who lives in Singapore, and I find that here is Louis, who lives in Singapore, but I don't know him directly. But these three people are in my personal network. I have a one-on-one connection. I've met Elena. I know Kevin. And Scott, I've seen him in Las Vegas one day. So I send an email to Scott. I send an email to Elena. I send an email to Kevin via the LinkedIn connection and say, would you please introduce me to Louis? Louis is supposed to be the go-to person, the get things happen in the marketing world person in LinkedIn or in Singapore. And Kevin comes back, introduces me. Now Louis has me going to be speaking when I'm in Singapore. So not only do I do the National Library thing, I can also do that. Now see, I'm not looking for a job, or maybe I am looking for a job. You see, you work the network. You work the network. And there's a reason why that does that. Let's see if I got one more here. The reason is why LinkedIn is built on that premise is that's how Reid Hoffman got his first job. Someone in here said, you know how you can, who are my Stanford people? You know, how do you know if somebody went to Stanford? You talk to them for 5 minutes and they'll let you know, is what he said. Well, Reid Hoffman, the creator, went to Stanford. The way I know that is I read his interview and it was in the second line. So he went to Stanford. He also went to Oxford. How do you know somebody went to Oxford? You talk to them for 5 minutes, and right, the same idea. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. Those are great schools. Well, Hoffman went to Oxford. He went to Stanford. He came back. He wanted to get a job, or he wanted to start something, but he couldn't. So he had to get a job. So the way he got that job was he called a Stanford network. Powerful, powerful network. And next thing you know, he's working at Apple. And then when he's at Apple, he works there for a while, and he doesn't want to do that. So he tries to find another job, and the way he does that is what? He goes into a Stanford network, and next thing he knows, he's working for PayPal. Now, you all know who PayPal is, right? You pay money online. So he gets his jobs by working his networks. So what's he going to do? He's going to create a network so that other people can do the same thing as he has been doing in his real life. Well, does LinkedIn matter? Well, here is LinkedIn. This is 175 million. To show you how old this is, they are now up to 271 million. 271 million people on LinkedIn. 50 million in Britain. How many Brits do we have here? One? No, Mel's finally going to admit he's from Britain. That might be why nobody else is admitting, because he admitted he was, right? So, LinkedIn, 81% of users belong. I got stats I looked just for the Brits, just for you guys. I was hoping more of you would be here. So, 81% of users belong to a group. So, I can create a group that I'm specifically interested in so that I can talk to only people who are like me, because I want to know that. I want to create something in that network, right? And then they got 61, I said 40, I'm sorry, 61% use it as their primary professional networking site. 61 of people use this as their is their fundamental way to network. And there's more numbers. That bachelor's degree. Let's see. Here's the Brits. 50 million Brits online. 50 million, I'm sorry, 5 million. How many people live in Great Britain? How many? Lie to me. I don't know. You can tell me anything. And I say, oh, well, okay. About 60 million. 58 million. So you can sit at a table with 10 Britons, and one of them is going to be on LinkedIn. And that's including the kids in preschool. You got 10 kids in preschool, one of them's on LinkedIn, right? So 1 out of 10, 1 out of 11 people are on LinkedIn. 374,000 of them are engineers on LinkedIn. And this is Britain alone. 66 are rocket scientists. 66 claim to be rocket scientists. Magicians, 744. Now, I told you, I get myself in trouble by trying to be as relevant as possible. I know numbers. I watch numbers. Yesterday, this was 745. It was 745. And then last night, the dude, the funny dude, he starts poking fun at social media, right? And the number dropped. I think they kicked him out. I don't know if he did it in the second service. I want to say service, it's like church service, but he did not do church. So he got kicked out. Maybe he showed up in the Farmers. No, he didn't, because that number didn't change. I saw there is a number that changed. We got 2,400 detectives, 7,000 hairdressers, right? This is bodybuilders. Solicitors, 48,000 solicitors. Does that mean the same thing in England that it means in America? When you get picked up for solicitation in America, is that what they're doing over there? So Mel, he's real kind. He offered to let me stay in his flat. I wonder, should I go out and meet one of these solicitors or what? I don't know. All right, and so here are the best schools in Britain. I don't know if you agree or not. There's Open University is considered the best. Number 2 is University of Manchester. Number 3, University of Leeds. And the LinkedIn people rank, these are the best schools to get the best people to come to work for us, kind of thing. Yesterday, this number was 145. I know where the magician showed up. He's a chimney sweep now. That blazer, how do you like that in black? Do you like chimney sweeps, Mary Poppins. Mermaids, there are 5 mermaids on LinkedIn. Who said those Brits don't have a sense of humor, right? All right, so here we go. Let's go. LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman. I told you a little bit about Reid Hoffman. He got all his jobs by working his network, so he created something so other people could do. Bad timing. LinkedIn was started during 2002. This was the deepest recession we've ever had in the Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is generally oblivious to what else goes on in the world because we're always doing something new and people are throwing money at us so that we can create something or other people can create something so people have something to do when the recession ends. But we had a huge recession, like 12 to 15% unemployment. That's huge for us. Bad timing, 2002. That's when Reid Hoffman started LinkedIn. He says, I think when things are at their worst, that's the best time to start. It's really hard. It's really hard to get money out of people who don't have money or want to give money. But nobody else can do it. If you can do it, you're going to be that much farther ahead. He thinks that's the best time. The worst time is the best time to start your new idea. So 1973, the oil crisis, right? That's when FedEx started. Look how that went for them, right? 1970. So we have the panic of 07. That's when GM started, 1907. That's when General Motors got started. General Electric, 1873, the panic of 1873, we got General Electric started. They're not around anymore. Oh, no, they are, aren't they? Then we got IBM, and the Depression of 73 through 96 is when IBM gets started. Look how that worked out for them. And then, of course, we got Procter & Gamble. They're from Cincinnati, Humboldt in Cincinnati. 1837, the panic. Look how that worked out for them. You see, the basic point here, the point we're trying to make is, there's never a bad time for a good idea. There's never a bad time for a good idea. If you don't see your dream, it's your fault. It's nobody else's fault. California, we pay our taxes based on the valuation of these companies. How much is Facebook worth today? How much is LinkedIn worth? How much is Twitter worth? California legislators create their budgets based on that. Because if Facebook is up double than what it was when it first went public, that means everybody who has Facebook shares is going to make more money, means more money into the coffers for California. That's good for me sometimes. The Unicorn Club. These are companies that feed off of each other. There's Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, founded by Reid Hoffman in 2002. Facebook was founded by 2004. Reid Hoffman, who owns LinkedIn, has personally invested in some 60 different companies, one of which is Facebook. Of course, he invested in Facebook. Are they competing with each other? No, they're complementing one another. They are complementing one another. So while this is coming up, would somebody please stand up and sing for me? Anybody but the comedian. You can see I've switched presentations here. This is the message the world. Link the world sounds like LinkedIn. Message the world sounds like Twitter. That's right. Bunch of twits trying to tell the world what's going on, right? Twits. Instant media. Twitter is instant media. That's the whole premise. One of the guys who founded Twitter, Noah Glass, there's Jack Dorsey, Noah Glass, and Evan Williams and Biz Stone. They fight over it. It's a whole lot of he said kind of a thing. There were no women at the time, so it's just he said. You know, who did what, when they did it, they fight about those things, and the answer to that question is, who cares? Right? We just want something that's functional for us. Instant media. This is a Asiana airline. I don't mean to be a downer here, but I was getting ready to get on Royal Caribbean. I was on my way. A couple of days before I got on the ship, Asiana Airlines flies into San Francisco, tail first, bounce, flip, roll, burns the top off of it, flips. This is why you wear your seatbelt on when you're on the airplane. Everybody survives. Everybody survives except for 2 people who got ran over by a fire truck trying to rescue them. But when they got off, people turned around with their phones, and began to tweet what it was that just happened to them. We're 8 seconds off of the plane, turn around and say, I survived this. These are the people, they're living. This woman here had enough time to go get her luggage. Leave your luggage upstairs, right? But you can see the value here. It's going to take CNN and Fox News, it's going to take them 8-12 hours before they get permission to fly over to get a picture like this. We have instant media happening here. David Yoon is vice president of Samsung. Now, they got a bunch of vice presidents, so I'm not quite sure which one. He gets off there, I am okay, I survived. What happens after that is KC from CNN says, David, can we talk? So CNN can't get there. David Yoon's a minute and a half off somebody, somewhat credible or perhaps credible. And so, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to divert attention from the crash, blah, blah, blah. He steps away from. But you see the power there. He's off, CNN can't get there for another 8, 12 hours unless they can connect with him, who just got off there a minute and a half ago or whatever. What happens, though, when you have instant media is you lose the step where you verify whether this is credible or not, whether this is any good or not. Who's going to make sure that everybody's telling the truth? Because anybody can say anything if you have the ability to message everybody. And so this is KTV, which exactly, you're getting it, right? So we have San Francisco radio, San Francisco television. This is our top television station, and this woman is reading with a straight face because there is now you're laughing, I haven't even said anything yet. It's because you can read. And so what they want to do is they are competing to see who can get to the names of the pilots the quickest. They want to know that. Because then I got that one-upmanship in the news world. And so she's standing up there, we got the names of the pilots. Captain Something Wong. Captain Something Wong, right? And his assistant was Wee Too Low. Because they're Korean pilots, right? So this is a huge, this one I had to delete because it's too crude. Bang, ding, ow. You see, instant media is good, but it's not always good. It's great, but it's not always great. So it's up to the reader. So another fact, I was reviewing my notes, another fact, on Twitter, there's something like 40% of everything that goes out on Twitter is mindless babble. Mindless babble. Another 38%, so we're up to 80%. Another 38% is conversation. It's like texting, only live on Twitter. Another 4% is spam, just people trying to make you do it. So 85% of Twitter is useless. 85% of Twitter is useless. About 4% is news. Another 9% is somebody relaying the news to other people who may or may not be interested. So about 13% of Twitter has any value. Another interesting number is 5%. 5% of Twitter users create 75% of the activity. So 95% of people on Twitter are competing with other 25% in the babbling industry. So there's a whole lot of celebrities telling you what you're doing. It'd be something like a magician thinking he has a huge following. He wants to tell everybody, follow me, follow me. Yeah, good luck with that. He's out in the middle of the ocean. How am I going to get there? I love you, Mel. We saw this. The other players. Who, what, where, when? Twitter. All right, Twitter. This is what a Twitter looks like. So you go home. This is my home, my Twitter page. This is how you find me, at thebillblue.com. This is a little blurb. 95 million people know my name. Seriously, 95 million people know my name. Ask me how. So anybody who comes there, they will go to @BillBlue. They'll say, Bill, how do people know your name? Or they'll go to my website, billblue.com. I can connect with other people on Twitter, and I can discover what else is going on Twitter. Twitter's a great source for what's happening now in the world. Because people begin to tweet about that. Or tweet. Oh. This is how many times I've tweeted. These are the number of people I follow because I'm interested in what they're doing. I follow Disney because I want to know if Disney's going to do something, then I can go tell my little girl, right? I'll do that. And this is how many people follow me. So I can discover, this is what the homepage looks like. This is Troy, this guy from down Australia. He interviewed me, put him up on his website. So I've been following him for a bit. These people invited me to Cape Town to speak. So I follow them. I can connect with people. Lorraine, PhD, I meet her sometimes up at the coffee shop where I work. I work out of a coffee shop. Then if I just want to see what's going on in the world, I can discover. Now, I don't know why I got beard up here. The reason I have beard up here is because one of my good friends, Tyler owns slybaldguys.com. He has the largest website in the world devoted to head shavers. People who shave their head. He's like 30-some years old. He's had to shave his head. So he tries to help people deal with that legitimately. He gets about 1.2 million people read, 1.2 million pages read every month by 70,000 people interested in how to handle that sort of thing. So I speaking in Phoenix, that's me, Bill, go, come, you can win the world. As soon as I get off the stage in Phoenix, I get this twit from Matt. If you're interested in flying out to Cape Town, South Africa next year, we'd love to have you. I never knew the guy, never met him. Still haven't met him. But he sent me money so I could buy a ticket so I could go to Cape Town. See, some people choose that medium to interact. Good, bad, or ugly, it's still effective. It's still effective. According to Twitter, the amount of tweets sent every day, in one day, the amount of tweets will fill up a 10 million page book. 40% of course, is mindless babble, right? And it's like 8,000 copies of War and Peace, 40% of which is, I don't know. I tried reading War and Peace, I didn't get very far. But do they matter? So we've seen this. Twitter is 500 million, close to 600 million now. 600 million people on Twitter. 40% of people on Twitter have never, ever tweeted. So I got 600 million, 40%, 240 million people on Twitter. All they do is have an account, and they've never done anything with it. Because they don't know how or what. So now, you see what the numbers, so what we have a very, very small portion of people trying to influence a very, very large amount of people that are only interested in what they do, and the rest of it is just noise. Like well, I don't want to call the tweeting of birds noise because it's not, but you get the idea. Twitter's a whole lot of noise, whole lot of noise. This is Evan Williams. What's remarkable about Evan Williams is he's created two, not one, but two of the top 10 websites in the world. Well, he didn't create Google, but he created Blogger, and Google bought Blogger. It's number 2 in the entire world for people where people go. And then Twitter's like number 8 or something. This one person all by himself created 2 of the top 10. Farm Boy from Nebraska. Hooks up with Noah Glass, and what they want to do, Noah Glass is, he was a nerd, you know, fat, pimply, horn-rimmed glass kind of a person. Didn't have any friends. He writes this in his biography. I didn't have any friends. I just wanted to be able to talk to people. I just wanted to say something, have people say something back to me. But he was too shy, too backwards to be able to do it in a public forum, so he wants to do it anonymously on Twitter. And that's the premise of Twitter. But there's still value. We can still see value in there. The guy who gets off the airplane, this is what happened. We're okay. Leave me alone, so everybody else, right? Please come to Cape Town. Can we do something together? Of course, there has to be due diligence. I must do due diligence. I'm just going to go get on a plane, right? You see how that works. Never a bad time for a good idea. Never a bad time for a good idea. Twitter they had $20,000 a month. $20,000 a month they were bleeding in server bills. They're sending SMSs, they're sending text messages. Well, somebody has to pay for that. You have to pay AT&T and Verizon to send these text messages. They were bleeding $20,000 a month. Their websites were crashing daily, and people were yelling at them and screaming, this ain't no good anyway. Even if I could get on here, what good is this thing? Blah, blah, blah. And they had a meeting with Yahoo. Yahoo offers them $2 million. They have no means of making any money. They just know how to bleed it. And they have no reputation, and people are yelling at them for it. I'll give you $2 million to get out of that hole. They laughed. They laughed at Yahoo. What, are you crazy? They walked out of that room laughing. Well, it has a huge impact. It has a huge impact. We can now tell when the happiest days and when the saddest days are. Little chart, this is when people use sad. So December, at the end of December, more people use sad at the end of December on Saturdays in December. The saddest day of the year are Saturdays in December, right? The happiest days, see, it's called huge data. When you got 500 million people sending, 10 million pages worth of whatever, you can see which words are used when, and you start getting a sense. You see, there's a sociological impact that Twitter creates here, right? We can see how that can happen. And then that's the Unicorn Club. We saw that. So the guy, Noah, he gets kicked out of Twitter. And that's a long fight, ugly, people don't like each other, lies. No, you lied. No, I didn't lie, you know it was you. So he gets out, doesn't know what else to do. He goes off and creates Square. Square is now worth about $4 billion. Square is a way you can pay people using your cell phone. Little white thing, I stick in the antenna of myself, swipe it, and I got your money. So what do you do when you get mad? Or what do you do when you get fired? What do you do when nobody loves you anymore? You go start something worth $4 billion. Never a bad idea. So Twitter is trying to silence Twitter in Turkey now because of the uprising in Turkey. Remember the Arab Spring? All fed by Twitter. It really was fed by Twitter. What can you say in 140 characters? You can say, meet me here, meet me there, meet me here, let's all gather here. So there's a powerful lot of things you can say in 140 characters. We call them tweets. Now, in the social media world, they're called tweets. What are they called in our world? What they used to be called? Sound bites. Sound bites, exactly, they're sound bites. A tweet is a sound bite. It's about the same. And so what you're trying to do on Twitter is trying to create that next soundbite so that people can pass that and follow that, gather. It becomes a way to instant message a lot of people to get instant activity and instant movement on a very quick level. Of course, you lose the credibility factor, but you don't always. But we all know that in the news world, nobody lies, don't we? Exactly. So when somebody gets on Twitter and lies, somebody else can get on Twitter immediately and say, no, that's not true. Here we are with complete transparency, and it becomes a credibility factor. Now, I can go to the gym, not this one, but I go to the gym in Sunnyvale, and I'm sitting on the motorbike like this, and they got the screens up there, and up there is Alex. I don't know who she is, so she's talking about blah, blah, blah. And Alex says, tweet me at AlexNBC or whatever it is. I can sit on my bicycle sweating like a something, and I can get my phone out and I can talk to the person on the air about the topic that she is broadcasting to the world. When could you do that? Has anybody ever been able to do that before? It's exceedingly powerful. But you still have to have substance. You still have to have credibility. You still have to have something to offer. If you have garbage, it'll never pass the filters unless it's Captain Something Wrong. And that's funny. It's not funny. It was terribly embarrassing to the person who did it. But it's a tremendous learning experience. Let's go fast as we can. Let's go really fast, but not too fast. Twitter is exceedingly powerful. I can talk to whoever whenever they screen their Twitter. All I have to do is say something intelligent. Make sense? Powerful. Twitter, IPO, when they went public, so they didn't want that $2 million, even though they were bleeding money. They didn't want $2 million from Yahoo because they were going to go public. When they went public, they instantly became worth $10 billion. $10 billion, and they were still. You remember the Mini Cooper. $1 billion, one Mini Cooper every 17 seconds, buy a Mini Cooper every 17 seconds for a year. Well, now you could buy 10 of them every 17 seconds for an entire year. Give me 10 Mini Coopers, please. 17, no, give me 10 more. 10 more, just 10 more, 10 more. Just keep doing that. 1,600 new millionaires in one night. What that means is the value of my house went way up. What that means is nothing unless I want to sell my house. I don't want to sell my house, do we, Sam? Not yet, anyway. Gotta have a video, right? Gotta have some video.
But for the next contestant, the world of showbiz seems a million miles away.
It's Paul, a mobile phone salesman from South Wales.
By day, I sell mobile phones. My dream is to spend my life doing what
Sells
I
mobile
feel
phones
that
during the
I was
day.
born to do.
Paul, what are you here for today, Paul?
Can we
To
turn
sing
it up just
opera.
a little bit?
I've always wanted
Sing
to
opera.
sing
I'm
as
sorry.
a
Sing
career.
opera.
Confidence has always been sort of like a difficult thing for me. I've always found it a little bit difficult to be completely confident in myself.
Okay. Ready when you are.
This is Paul Potts. Paul Potts, right? Works in a mobile phone warehouse. He's not even out front. You know, just I need this many phones, so he puts mobile phones into a box and has them sent out. So he's languishing in this factory. Then he can do that? And why couldn't he do that? Why didn't he do that before? I've always confidence. See, what I hear when he says I didn't have the confidence, I hear I don't have the confidence yet. It's not the right time for me to be out there doing that yet. You see, it's just another excuse for why he didn't do what he should have been doing all along. Well, 125 million people, some 125 million people have now seen that video. Paul Potts, he went on to win Britain's Got Talent that year. He now tours the world. Now tours the world as an opera singer. My question is, what's keeping you from pursuing your dream? I don't know the answer to that question. Only you know the answer to that question. Gotta have a quote. Here we go. It sounds like a guy who would create Twitter, doesn't it? The most valuable of all talents is that of never using two words. One will do. And we don't want to be too wordy, do we? That's me being too wordy. Never use two words. One will do. Who said that? Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, arguably one of the most intelligent, one of the best writers. At least he wrote one of the best documents of all time, depending on which side of the ocean you're on. JFK said about Thomas Jefferson is they had a group of Nobel laureates at the White House. And they said, we've never had such a great gathering of minds here at the White House since Thomas Jefferson dined here alone. Twitter's powerful. LinkedIn is powerful, right? Facebook has an incredible reach. So social media is something that sits at our fingertips. You don't need power. You don't need tremendous intelligence. You just need a depth of wisdom. You need something worth sharing. And when you have that, you have literally at your fingertips, you have the power to change the world. Next talk I'm going to do is Google Plus. I want to touch on Dreamers, and I'm stunned. I live next to this company. Seriously, about 4.5 miles away. I go over there sometimes, just throw rocks at the building. It's befuddling the ideas that come out of that company. Where we're going to try and do this, we're going to try and do that. I've got pictures of driverless cars. I take my daughter to school every morning, and on my way to school, there's a car going by that's driverless with a little and so on and so on. So I want to take a look at what dreamers can actually dream. See if that can't stretch our imaginations a little bit. That'll happen after we get back on that happens on the 6th or something like that. But in the meantime, don't just dream dreams. Start making plans to see those dreams come true. Thank you very much. Glad to have you all here.